Social credit score and CBDC explained in great detail is exactly what I'm going to do in this video. I'm actually going to give you a timeline of events of what will be happening based on my extensive network of people in politics and in business and kind of in the know. Now, obviously, this is my opinion / the information I have access to, but there's a lot of fear mongering and there's a lot of information out there basically designed to scare you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down a timeline of what has happened, what will happen, and what to expect in the future so you can prepare and protect yourself going forward from social credit scores, CBDCs, and the other things that are inevitably coming. You don't have to go run and hide under a rock. You can actually take action right now to make this happen. I'm going to give you all the details in this video, so let's get ready for Operation Get Ready. All right, so we need to establish a couple of things. Here in Cody's classroom, we're going to establish a 5-part quadrant. Now, quadrant, but it's 5 parts. I know, but let me get into it real quick. I get asked every single day, and I'm going to give you my advice. This is what I'm doing. You do whatever you want to do. Bitcoin, Monero, gold, and silver. Bitcoin, Monero, gold, and silver. Those are the 4 things I recommend investing in. If my children ask me, hey, where should I put this $10,000? Bitcoin, gold, silver, and Monero. Now, there is one caveat to that because we live in the real world, cash. When a recession happens, having some cash on hand is going to be very, very, very valuable. Very valuable. The reason being, you're going to be able to buy a lot of assets for 20, 30, 50, 60% off. I don't care if you're talking old collector cars. I don't care if you're talking real estate. I don't care if you're talking stocks. The stock market's going to get wiped out. Bonds. I don't care if you're talking annuities. I don't care if you're talking about you invest in wheat future. Whatever it is, oil future, great. A lot of things are going to be massively on sale. So having cash is kind of the 5th part. It kind of hovers above. I recommend having a percentage of these things. I also recommend never having more than 33% of a single thing in a single space. What do I mean by that? Let's say you have $100,000 in Bitcoin, okay? I don't recommend having more than maybe 33% of that in a single space, whether it's a hardware wallet, whether it's, maybe you're on a digital software wallet, maybe you're if you're in an exchange, a lot less, obviously. You should be in a ghosted exchange, you should be in a no KYC situation like we do in our Ghost program, but in that realm, right? So that's what I want to keep in mind. I do not recommend any other investments. Real estate's incredible in a good market, and it's made more millionaires than any other industry in the world, except it's insane right now. So if you do real estate, that's great, but I can't recommend that to the average person because the average person, that's not going to be an option. Stocks and bonds, I do not recommend for obvious reasons. Bonds would be better than stocks at this point, but I wouldn't recommend diving into any of them without doing just exhaustive research, because you are really taking probably one of the biggest risks of your life. The United States market is looking at a 1929 style crash, only way worse, in my opinion, and really the opinion of everyone else who knows about markets. But I digress. So I want to set that on the side. Now, what is going to happen and what will happen? Well, the first thing you need to understand is 5G. Okay, and I know we're taking it full tech, but hang with me for a minute, because this is going to be very valuable for you to be able to see this timeline break out. This is when 5G officially launched, and this is 5G in general, right? 5G is now the norm. Whether you have a phone, a computer, all your data, regardless of what, 5G has kind of been pumping in and the lifeblood of telecommunications. Okay, and what I'm going to be talking about here and breaking down, whether you're in North America, so, United States, Mexico, Canada, whether you're in South America, for the most part, South America is a little bit of a wild card. Definitely if you're in Australia, definitely if you're in any part of Europe, this is really going to pertain to you. But 5G, or its equivalents, pumps in the data. It gives the speed that you need for this situation. So we all know 5G is a thing. So we're going to kind of quickly move over that. I've done videos on that, and everyone's talked about 5G. It's a thing. Then we're going to talk about quantum computing. Now, this is really what runs behind the scenes, because everyone talks about social credit scores and CBDCs, but nobody talks about what this actually is. Okay? It's kind of like if you're going to store some files. You're going, I'm going to store them on the cloud. Well, what is the cloud? The cloud is just a series of servers, right? So what is the CBDC? What is the social credit score? People are not asking the right questions, in my opinion. Well, what they are is a series of packets of data that are stored and pushed around through 5G, through quantum computing. Very, very advanced computing that the average person doesn't have access to, but these multinational corporations and governments have for quite a while, and some of the computing powers that they have are astronomical, okay? And so utilizing that. Now, another component is AI, but we're going to come full circle on AI because AI comes in later. A lot of people talk about AI, not in the ways that you think and not even in the evil ways that you think. So we're going to set AI over here for 1 second, and then let's get into a couple things that fundamentally matter. The first thing is a CBDC. What is that? Central bank digital currency. When you have a central bank digital currency, now I've done videos on the Fedcoin. You can see a couple videos here. I've done probably a dozen videos on the Fedcoin over the last 2 years talking about how this is coming. This is not new information. This is not like a brand new thing. Now, a lot of fear mongering over the new payment processor in July for the Fed's new payment processor. That has nothing to do with the average person. That is not something you should worry about. That is something that these fear mongers are pushing. Well, that's going to come into place and the CBDC is going to show up a couple days. No, it's not. CBDC is not going to show up a couple days later, a couple months later. That's not how it works. And let me tell you how it works, because the SWIFT banking system and because the United States is the world reserve currency, far beyond China, far beyond the pathetic excuse of a currency Russia has and some of these other things that are failing consistently, far beyond, Japan, far beyond the euro. When you look at the world reserve currency, now you're going to see a CBDC in Japan, the euro. You're going to see it in basically every major European country. You're going to see it in the United States. Obviously, you're going to see the one in Canada is a little different. Canada's one of the worst. And pretty much they're doing a lot of experiments right now in South America and Africa, like they always do, which is sick and twisted and inhumane. But unfortunately, that's what these people do. They sit here and pander about climate change and racism and all this stuff, and then they literally go down south and use these people for experiments, which is insane. But whatever, to each their own. The reality is, I don't agree with any of that. I think it's messed up as all get out, but it's what's happening. The reason they're doing this CBDC is to monitor civil unrest, to monitor how far they're being used kind of as lab experiments, for lack of a better term. And I know it's insane, but if you look at the data, if you look at all the data coming from South America, all the data coming from Africa, and they're launching these CBDCs in pockets that they can control, and they always launch them with militaries with pockets to control, to try to mitigate the civil unrest and to mitigate the media coverage of these things so people don't realize what's happening. It's kind of like when they test, new pharmaceuticals, or they always test things on impoverished people, lower income people. It's how they do things in this sick and twisted situation. Well, the CBDC is going to cause massive civil unrest. They're worried about it causing a full-blown civil war in the United States, which it probably will if it goes the way they would like it to go. That's why they're doing this testing. So, with the CBDC, central bank digital currency, they're trying to control crypto. The thing is, they've let crypto go way too far. They didn't really realize how far crypto had gotten until about 2021, 2022, when they realized there was nothing they could do. When the President of the United States came out and embarrassed himself and talked about how he was going to ban Bitcoin, he was going to look into what they could do to sue Bitcoin or ban Bitcoin. And then he got laughed at by the world and realized, oh no, and we've had a lot of people in Congress who don't fully understand how social media companies make money off ads, let alone the complex nuances of blockchain, right? They have no idea. So they realize this is a fundamental problem, and so they're looking at making your access to it illegal. Places like all of Europe, United States, Canada. The United States has a bill coming out in the September-October legislative calendar, which is going to make it to where if you're an American citizen, you cannot partake in cryptocurrency over $1,000. If you have more than $1,000, it's going to be a felony, and you'll go to jail, of course. And if you have it on a hardware wallet, you'll be backed up against a corner. There's nothing you can do with it. You can have $1 billion. It's kind of like if you have money offshore and you bring it in to the United States, money that you didn't pay taxes on, you just committed a giant tax crime. And you'll go to prison, right? I don't want to go down the movie rabbit hole, but have you ever seen the movie Wall Street 2 with Michael Douglas and Shia LaBeouf? When he talks about how when Michael Douglas goes to prison, puts the money overseas, his daughter was going to bring the money back into the country. Well, if she did that, she would have gone to prison for like 20 years because of the tax implications. Well, that's kind of the corner they're painting you into with crypto. And that's a real thing. That crime that she would have, now it's a fake movie, Wall Street, but it's a real crime they would have committed. People do it all the time. People go to prison for it all the time. And that's what they're doing with crypto. Now, it's way worse if you're in Belgium or Germany or the UK, France, any one of those places. It's getting really bad. And then, of course, Canada, Mexico, United States, Brazil, Australia, obviously, New Zealand, a lot of these places, it's going to be painted into a corner with this new banking system, because the new CBDC, the Fedcoin, is going to run the world reserve currency like SWIFT, and so it's going to control the outcome. It's why there's a lot of bills that are going to basically follow suit in all of these major countries. This is why I talk a lot about becoming a ghost. In my ghost program, we help people create institutional accounts, no KYC, so it can't be connected to you. It's run through a business. And there's a carve out in these bills, like a lot of you have mentioned, and like I've mentioned to a lot of you, that exclude businesses. This is why I talk so heavily about ghost program in the business front and doing the no KYC. So, and a lot of you guys are asking, yes, there is a few spots available. As long as the first link down below works, I do have a spot available for you. It is running out quick after yesterday's video. And also, if you sign up now, you get the no KYC for the institutional business accounts, and then you also get the video series. So I talked a lot about this video series that is for Ghost Program members only. They talk about how to circumvent social credit scores, CBDCs, and all the crazy things going on in the world. Basically content that would never be allowed on the internet because it's way too advanced and way too detailed, and it's stuff that you put on the internet, you'll get taken down immediately. And so if you guys want to check that out, check out the first link down below. We do have a few spots left available. But this is what I'm talking about when I talk about this, because that bill that is in September, October. But if the bill goes through, let's say the bill goes through. Now, there's a lot of opposition. This bill was supposed to go through in March. Now, the reason it didn't go through in March was because of the debt ceiling debacle that took months here in the United States. So it pushed the Crypto Regulations Act and the Crypto Framework Bill to the September-October legislative calendar. They're not doing anything in the summer because we have the Supreme Court decisions at the end of this month, right? Basically this week, we have the Supreme Court decisions on some very key topics, which is going to cause a lot of civil unrest with the student loan forbearance and some other stuff with, immigration. Of course, it's always a top. So all that aside, because that really has nothing to do with this other than decisions, we're going to have July and August, which the recesses, and then in the September-October legislative calendars, we're going to have the crypto bills come up. When these bills pass, and they will, but I think they're going to come up September, October. I think it's going to take till the end of the year to pass them. But if they pass in September, October, they're going to have a 3-month window, okay? And then between January, February, these will go in law. So this is what I'm talking about. You have time left to be able to run everything through institutions. If you have crypto, you should not have crypto in your name right now. You should not have crypto in your name right now, in my opinion. Do not have crypto in your name. This is why I teach people how to do this. Now, is it a crime right now? No, it's not. And is it ever going to be a crime to have it in your name? No, it's not. But you're only going to partake 1,000 based on this bill. Anything over 1,000, technically you can't, you'll never be able to use it. And if you do use it, do I need to talk about Gordon Gekko again? You're going to prison, buddy. And that's just the thing. And so it's very sad that it's coming to this, but they realize that they can shift that institutional money, because crypto is going to have one of the largest institutional takeoffs you've ever seen once money starts going into Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of these other top tier coins. I mean, even Dogecoin. Elon Musk has talked about how he'd throw $1 billion or $2 billion into Dogecoin once the regulational framework comes in, because he can run it through his business. He's going to run it through Tesla, Dogecoin. You see what I mean? These businesses you're going to start seeing these companies accept crypto, like major top tier, like buy your new Ford F-150 with crypto, buy your new house with, this is coming. But you need to make sure the crypto is not your name. You need to make sure it's through a business, in my opinion. And you also need to make sure that you are not partaking in the system, because you're only going to be able to accept 1,000 in traditional crypto, so they're going to pivot to Fedcoin. Now, Fedcoin is going to be your currency. You're going to be able to borrow in Fedcoin. You're going to be able to earn your money in Fedcoin. Your paycheck's going to be in Fedcoin. That's going to be a nightmare, because they're going to be able to track everything you do. And that brings us into the social credit score. Guys, I think we're about a year to a year and a quarter away from the social credit score. People are telling me all the time, social credit score is going to come in tomorrow. First of all, the United States government has to federalize the credit score in general for that to happen. They cannot do that right now because of the real estate crisis. So they're juggling two balls. If we federalize the credit score, the real estate market is going to crash for a couple of different reasons. If we don't federalize the credit score, we can't do a social credit score like Joe Biden's dream to be Chinese Joe Biden, China Joe. So kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. They're obviously going to pick the real estate market because if that crashes in an election year, Joe Biden couldn't win president of anything, let alone the United States. So I can't allow that to happen. So the social credit score will, mark my words, I would be willing to bet serious money on this, that the social credit score will not happen until after the 2024 United States presidential election. In the U.S., social credit scores are coming much quicker in Canada, Australia, and Europe. So if you're in one of those countries, I recommend you start ghosting yourself immediately because it's coming over the next few months. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised that if by the end of this year, beginning of next year, you start to see social credit scores like in full swing, not just talks, not just tests, because I know they've been running tests in Canada, in Belgium, in Germany, in UK, in, well, I don't know about, France is a little bit different. They've been running tests in a lot of Eastern Europe, of course. So I would really start to restructure yourself in that. In the United States, it can't happen until after the election. It just can't because of the way the markets are structured. So that's a good thing. That's some good news, right? I want to be able to give you guys some good news too and let you know that everything's not all doom and gloom. Also, the thing that's happening in July, that doesn't really affect you. So that's also some good news. So take a deep breath, and just prepare yourself. My motto is always this. It's always hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I hope for great days, sunshine, and everything every day. But if it doesn't happen, I'm ready for it, right? I'm ready for it. You saw my quadrant, +1. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, Monero. That's what I believe in. You do whatever you want to do. I'm not giving you financial advice. You do whatever you want to do, but that's what I do. And then, of course, cash heavy. All the other investments are going to lose big. Even real estate's going to lose big. But if you've got income-producing projects or properties like multifamily, well, you'll still be able to collect rent and do those things, and that's going to be fine in a recession, not in a recession. It really doesn't matter. But if you're just investing in real estate willy-nilly, you're going to be in serious trouble if you're not careful. Also, a side thing is investing in businesses and, of course, investing in yourself. But that can't really make the quadrant. That's a separate thing. But, you know, talking about those things. So social credit score, we're about a year out on that. So keep that in mind. And what you need to look for is the United States federalizing the credit system, which Joe Biden has 2 bills he's trying to push through. And the Democrats, and there are several Republicans on board, so don't act like it's the evil Democrats and the great Republicans save the day. There are a lot on both sides that are looking, and there are some Democrats that are opposed to the social credit score. You gotta keep in mind, guys, here's a coin, right? It's 2 sides. 1 coin, 2 sides. These political parties are 2 sides of the same coin, okay? So don't act like there's a savior out there. You need to save yourself. You need to take action for yourself. You need to protect yourself. No politicians are coming to protect you. No politicians are coming to save you. All these programs are designed to buy votes. They're not designed for you. All these people on government assistance stuff, that's designed to buy loyalty and designed to buy votes. You notice they give you breadcrumbs and scraps so they have your eternal loyalty. Keep that in mind. Don't do that. Don't fall into that trap under any circumstances. And unfortunately, they prey on people of color. They prey on my people, Native Americans, obviously forever. They prey on people of African descent, Asian descent, and obviously white people as well. Let's be real. They prey. Now I'm mixed, just like most of you. I mean, and here's the other thing with this whole race thing. They already know this. Most black people I know are like part black, part this. Most Asian people I know. Some people are full, and that's great. I don't care where you're from or what. I care about people in general. I don't care about, how much melanin do you have in your skin? Who cares? What invisible, fake, pretend country or these are all just made up. Everything's made up. Okay? Comes down to the individual person. But somehow they've been able to segregate people, and people still fall for this crap, talking about the Native American vote, the black vote, the Hispanic vote. Let's talk about racism. There it is. But the media is like, no, that's legit. That's about as legit as it gets. Segregation at its finest. No, that's legit. Racism is if you don't say, I don't even want to go there. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's insane, right? And these things are designed to be insane, to trick you and confuse you. So I'm talking about these things in a regular manner, letting you guys know my opinion. It's just my opinion. But I'm letting you guys know what happened. And you guys look at all these things like, oh, yeah, no, that is what's happening. July isn't something to worry about. Now, what's coming after July, the CBDC, is something to worry about. You look at some of these other things. Oh, it's not really something to worry about. No, I get that. But looking at big picture, I think that's important. So for this year, we really got to watch the CBDC. That's going to be one of the, if you're at all involved in crypto, Ghost in your crypto, no KYC, and my Ghost program is going to be the best thing that ever happened to you because you're going to be able to structure yourself through that. If you're not in digital assets, well, guess what? You're going to be because the CBDC is coming and you're no longer going to have paper money. You're no longer going to have, anything other than You think a debit card's bad? You think that's all ones and zeros? You think a credit card's bad? Well, imagine not having the ability to take your money. Imagine not having the ability to take your currency, okay? So these are things that we're walking ourselves right into as we speak. So that's what you want to look out for. You want to look out for the federalization. You want to look out for the CBDC Act that is coming in, and it's the entire CBDC is packaged under crypto. What they're doing is they're making crypto traders look evil, demon, crypto, crime, human trafficking. They're making it seem like crypto is the root of all evil. We've got a better solution. You don't want decentralized peer-to-peer because you peasants can't handle it on your own. We want centralized, we control, we give you, we tell you. There's even a carve-out in this bill. Now, I don't think this carve-out's going to pass. I want to be perfectly clear. But there's a carve-out in this bill that says that CBDC coins should expire. Now, let that sink in. Imagine you go to work all week, you make $1,000, you make $5,000, you make whatever you make, and then after a year, if you don't spend that, if you don't help grow the economy, that money expires. But guess if that counts to businesses. Just guess. And this was written by a Democrat, a very liberal Democrat. And I'm going to get more into this in a future video. And they even did a carve out for businesses. Guys, it is two sides of the same coin. You think, oh, these super liberal, super left-wing hate businesses, hate corporations. They do almost more carve outs for big corporations than the right wing does. Do you realize that? And this thing that wants your paycheck to expire after a calendar year, now there is a carve out where you could do like up to 10% for savings and retirement and stuff. But other than that, your money you use it or you lose it. And this is your paycheck. This is your money. You're giving your time and you don't have the right anymore to save your money because you got to invest in the economy, invest in the future of the people. Imagine that. Now, again, I don't think this is going to pass, but this shows you how insane the CBDC is going. This shows you why you need to protect yourself. Now, the good news is there's communities like Monero and other communities, but here's the bad news. The bad news is you're always going to need to be able to on and off ramp no matter what. Now, I'm working with some companies right now in Wyoming, and it's too early to be able to say anything, so I'm not. I've said things too early in the past. I've said something's coming, and it takes like 6 months to launch, and then I get it. But I'm working on with some companies in Wyoming right now where we're going to do a crypto to gold and silver, and that's it. You could buy, and there's a lot of companies that I'm in talks with. I'm looking at building a portal, and it's going to be open source, and it's going to be just for the community. It's not going to be a business. It's going to be a tool, and it's going to help connect crypto and precious metals. And I'm working with a couple other precious metals companies. I'm doing a lot in precious metals, kind of behind the scenes, and I'm working heavily on that because I believe that you should be able to go from gold and silver to crypto, and that's it. Buy things, pay for things, live. I think you should be able to opt out of currencies. Now, we're starting in Wyoming, and I'm working with some companies up there in Wyoming and in Texas and in South Dakota and in Florida and in Missouri, and that's all that's definite right now, but we're working on bringing some other states on board. I'm working with politicians. I'm working with large companies. I'm working with governors and senators, and I'm trying to make this legal. I'm trying to make this a legit thing, right? If there's laws in place where gold and silver is legal tender, well, I'm behind the scenes with these people pushing for and lobbying for these laws to be legal tender. Because if that happens, we can go from crypto to gold and silver. We can circumvent the dollar. We can circumvent the euro. We can circumvent the Canadian funny money. We can circumvent whatever we want, right? We can circumvent the peso. We can circumvent the yuan. We can circumvent the ruble. We can circumvent all this stuff. Gold and silver, crypto, nothing else needed. And that's what I'm working on behind the scenes with some very talented people and some very, I will say, courageous people in the political and business sphere because they're really going up against it. I'm behind the scenes, but they're going up against it. So I understand that. That's pretty cool. I've got a lot of clients in that space that I work with in my Ghost program and a lot of people I work with in that sphere in my corporate program, and which is something totally different. And that's kind of big picture for Privacy X and what we're trying to integrate. So that's kind of how we're fighting against the CBDC. That's kind of how we're fighting against social credit score. That's how we're trying to fight against these things. Now, I said I would bring AI in later, and that's an important aspect. So I talked about the 5G. I touched on the quantum computing, which has existed forever. It just keeps getting more powerful. They're working on compression algorithms to compress data to keep it forever, and that's where Web3 and AI come into a similar space. Because once that happens, they'll be able to keep data forever, and that is when we're in some 1984 crazy situation that makes it impossible for you to opt out. Now, it can't collect data that doesn't exist, and that's why people like me and other companies like PrivacyX exist to help people with this process of ghosting. But because it's a process, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. It's not like you can snap your fingers. And that's something that a lot of people need to fully understand when you go through that is you're always trying to think a step ahead. So anyway, that's really what I wanted to talk about on that. AI is going to be the Web3 aspect, okay? And when you have Web3 on the blockchain, everything's got two sides. Everything's got a birth and a death. Everything's got a positive and a negative. And the reason I say that is because for all the pros to crypto, decentralized, peer-to-peer, for all the pros to the blockchain, these individuals have learned how to use those things against you, the blockchain, for Web3 to be able to lock you in the system. That's the problem with it. It's great until they lock you in the system and then you have no choice. The CBDC aspect, the social credit score aspect, so technology and all these great things, and then they twist them to the dark side, right? And so it's you trying to always stay a step ahead legally and put yourself in a good position. And that's what we do. That's literally the whole premise of what we do. So looking at those things, AI, they're working on a lot of bots right now to scrape crypto. AI, the government's full focus on AI is just basically 100% crypto. The IRS's full focus is basically 100% crypto. So I tell you guys, structure yourself so you don't have to go through this system. You do not want to be part of what's coming, in my opinion, but you do want to be part of crypto. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to pass this to get this put together, and so then they can pump all their money in crypto, and then they can gain all the rewards, right? Because you won't be able to access crap. And that's the horrible just truth of the situation. That's unfortunately what's happening. Now, the good news, like I said, if we go back to the timeline, even if they pass it in October, let's say they pass in October, which I doubt. I think it's going to take most of the rest of the year because there's going to be a lot of fighting just like the debt ceiling. But let's just say they pass it in October. It's going to be at least a 3-month window. So the soonest you're going to see this go through is January, February. Could be as late as March or April. But that's really it. Because once it goes through, and it always does, once it goes through, then that's the end of the road for being able to ghost yourself as far as what I'm currently talking about with crypto. Every other aspect you'll be able to ghost yourself, but with crypto, you no longer will be able to partake ever legally above $1,000. You'll be able to go in and out $1,000 per year. A lot of people said, well, what about if I have cold wallets and I sell those cold wallets? Well, you're going to have to find a business willing to buy those cold wallets, and you know there's going to be a registry, so they're going to have to circumvent it on the black market. You're going to get 50 cents on the dollar if you're lucky, and that's even if you can find somebody dumb enough to buy it, because they're going to be committing a crime for something that they can just legally go out and buy. See what I mean? It's kind of like saying the difference between a prescription, like you have a prescription for something, or you go buy it on a street corner illegally. What? So that's kind of where you're going with this. I do not recommend, it's not worth your time, effort, or energy to go through all that. Now, I get playing devil's advocate, and I love the fact that you guys are asking these kind of questions. I got a lot of great questions on a video I did 3-4 videos ago talking about the CBDC and the social credit score, and those were some of the type of questions. But the problem is you're talking about going down a very deep, dark path for no reason. The AI bots are going to be able to scrape KYC history, account history, transaction history on a lot of these cryptos, not so much Monero, but on all the other ones. And be able to structure you guys to where who bought what, when, with what card, with what person, where did it go, how did it make it. So this is what the AI is currently doing. Now, I don't think this is going to be in full effect till 2024, but this is kind of what they're looking at right now. So anyway, let me know what you think down below. Appreciate you guys checking out this video. If you haven't already, check out the first link down below. Have an amazing day. Make sure you hope for the best and prepare for the worst, right? You want to live your life. You don't want to be glued to the news. Live your life, but just start preparing, right? Start preparing. So have an amazing day, guys. I'll see you in the next video.